It doesn't sound too trivial, but it has to be said about how simple the job of restoring Dead Space looks from the perspective of a casual observer. This is perhaps one of the most beloved horror franchises of the 2000 seconds and early 2010 seconds. Satisfying, terrifying, powerful, and atmospheric systems intertwine, all fused into a spectacular, elegant statement of cosmic and body horror, one that sets the most stable vision for the future of horror games possible. Banner name, playing the 2008 original in preparation for the remake. It's shockingly modern, full of confidence and a clear vision that we don't see in video games anymore. Professional runtime pacing, the tightest core gameplay possible, and one of the most satisfying moves in video game history. The original Dead Space was a masterclass with its rich atmosphere, diverse yet balanced gameplay systems, and satisfying exploration, so much so that its remake does more than streamline and no loading screen explanation of its world. Besides, almost nothing needs to be changed. Stone Village, the ill-fated Planet Ripper mining ship that gave Dead Space an appearance, isn't one of the most unique horror game environments. If you were to list generic video game horror locations, you'd beat the Monster Infect spaceship very quickly, but the original Dead Space's acclaim for its sound design and atmospheric lighting raises the bar considerably for how effective those tools are at scaring people off when they're lurking around a can floating somewhere in the distant universe. Dead Space learned this lesson well, and most of the new content here is a completely revamped visual engine, a deeper, more refined approach to sound design, and generally minimal changes to the layout of Stone Village itself. The more dramatic execution of light and shadow in the redesigned Dead Space manages to keep you on your toes, even if the general shape of the game is the same. When played on a monitor that supports high dynamic range, this effect is further amplified, as the Inkai blacks of Ishimura's Depths of Oblivion and Carnage offer little consolation when rendered in such detail. I often forget the narrative details of the long insanity that Ishimura's team goes through even before people start turning into monsters, long before you set foot in it. But walking its halls in this remake balances out its lingering catastrophe, is more detailed than before. In terms of narrative, there have been some subtle reinterpretations of the script, mostly through character interactions. A detail added here, a tone shift there. This time around, the core cast of Survivor is more collaborative, less finger-pointing and sabotaging each other over the radio, with main character Isaac Clarke trying to solve the myriad disasters that have occurred in Ishimura. The vastly improved facial animations that play when your compatriots task you via video call keep most of my small group of survivors busy. However, Motive, the developer of this remake, made some systemic changes to the game that can be classified as very good to basically inadequate. Intensity Director is a random encounter generator that claims to have over 1,000 possible actions at any given time, including audio cues and enemy attacks that often make favorable choices, such as an enemy standing in a large room or when I enter late game. A long hallway or vents that seem to open randomly for no reason. It's likely that Motive also used this system to create more custom sequences or scares in the game, and while it's useful to have a sense of danger as you transition from one locator to the next, this implementation is largely unremarkable. One of the most obvious and positive changes in the remake is the revamping of the zero-gravity movement of the original Dead Space, removing the weird look and dive navigation and replacing it with the multi-axis flight seen in later entries in the series. It can't be stressed enough that the Dead Space remake always felt safe, and after playing it for a while, that opinion hasn't changed. It's simply one of the best horror games out there today, and a fresh coat of paint that really brings its gritty, nasty interpretation of sci-fi horror to a whole new level of relief is very welcome, especially if it stays true to the source material. Win this trust. 4 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and support my channel.